Beverly, there you are. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, co-facilitators. I am Beverly Longid from the Indigenous Peoples Movement for Self-Determination and Liberation. I come before you to add the voices of 370 million indigenous peoples in the world. Indigenous peoples occupy barely a fourth of the world's Earth's surface, but we serve as stewards to more than 80% of the world's biodiversity. Today, more than ever, there is a clear and present danger to our existence and the means to our living. Either we practice sustainability today or we all perish tomorrow. Either we care for indigenous peoples of today or throw tomorrow's world into greater danger. This is our world too. Why then is there no clear reference to indigenous peoples in the Sustainable Development Goals? We are saying, let's leave no one behind. However, the indigenous peoples are out of the said goals, excluding us from the achievement and monitoring of the SDGs. We are also one with civil society and social movements in asserting that structural and systemic issues breed poverty, cause hunger, and foster inequality and injustice. Only by addressing these issues can we achieve genuinely sustainable, exclusive, and transformative development. We demand people and planet before profits, socialized industry, agrarian reform, and respect for human rights. Initiatives that do not contribute to these demands are bound to fail. As a way forward, we reiterate our demand that the implementation and financing of SDGs and its accompanying indicators should be consistent with human rights standards and international humanitarian laws. In our case, we assert wholly the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, or the UN DRIP, that recognizes self-determination over our lands, our right to free prior informed consent, and prohibits any form of involuntary settlement. The World Conference on Indigenous Peoples, WCIP, last September, which is a high-level meeting of the UN General Assembly, reiterated the commitment in achieving the ends of this declaration. Financing by international financial institutions, in our case, often leads to human rights violations. These financial institutions and corporate bodies remain unaccountable as states continue to provide them support and protection. There is a dire lack of regulatory frameworks for such financings to ensure accountability and development justice. Mandatory transparency and accountability safeguards in compliance with human rights norms and standards, putting people before profit, should accompany private sector financing and public-private partnership for sustainable development. We also call on the Interagency Expert Group on Indicators and concerned UN units for an effective and rightful engagement of indigenous peoples in the formulation of appropriate global indicators that ensures indigenous peoples' self-determined sustainable development, secures our rights over land and territories, and addresses our particular needs and circumstances on health, education, and poverty alleviation. We hope engagements with indigenous peoples should not only take the form of a 2-minute oral intervention. The means of implementation and financing should advance harmony with people and Mother Earth, rather than a mechanism to reinforce profits at the expense of nature and people's survival. Let us heed the voices of indigenous peoples and consider those recommendations for our people, for our world, for our tomorrow. Thank you very much.